for the video! On July 21st, Warner Brothers released Barbie, a comedy in pink bedazzled with beloved Hollywood stars. Barbie has blown up the box office, raking in 775 million Barbie bucks at the time of this recording, and everyone is having a super normal reaction to this movie about a children's toy.
It felt like I was watching a 1 hour and 50-minute podcast of women complaining about men.
The movie's outrageously dismissive tagline, she is everything, he is just Ken.
Isn't this a kid's movie? Isn't this supposed to be made for 7-year-old girls?
While the diverse cast and Gender Studies 101 homework assigned by Greta Gerwig's record-breaking film have conservative pants and a twist, Mattel's best-selling toy hasn't always been a feminist icon. In fact, Lilli, the Lilith to Barbie's Eve in Mattel's multi-billion-dollar creation story, was actually a naughty little German doll made for adult men. Let's take a trip back in time.
Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds.
Wait, too far back. There we go. 1952, the year Lilli was first introduced as a shapely secretary in a series of comedic, raunchy comics for the popular German tabloid Bild. Bild is now a widely read inflammatory right-wing news source which gives the feminism light flavor of the Barbie movie a delicious touch of irony. The creation of Lilli, her subsequent doll form, and therefore the birth of the entire Barbie franchise might never have happened had it not been for an empty space on the second page of the first edition of Bild that needed to be filled last minute. Illustrator, I'm gonna butcher this, Reinhard Buthine threw together a little comic featuring a petite blonde asking a fortune teller for the name and address of a rich, handsome man. And thus, Lilli was born. Lilli was controversial from page one. She was a liberated beauty who served as eye candy for men, but also represented a new wave of German women who were seeking financial and social independence. Her witty comebacks, while downright wholesome compared to the choked sludge the internet is today, were shockingly suggestive for the time. In this comic, when told by an officer that her two-piece bathing suit is inappropriate for the beach cafe, she cheekily asks him which piece she should take off then. Ye olde humana awooga. Lilli was a hit and was even the star of a film before debuting as a sultry, curvy doll named Bild Lilli in 1955. Barbie's sexy grandma was sold at bars, tobacco kiosks, and adult toy stores. While also enjoyed by children, Bild Lilli was primarily an adult novelty toy, a gag gift for bachelor parties. And that's when Ruth Handler, creator of Barbie and co-founder of Mattel, rolled into town. As the story goes, boss babe Ruth and her daughter spotted Lilli in the window of a toy shop in the Swiss Alps. In Lilli, Ruth saw the embodiment of a rejected pitch she had made to Mattel years ago, a toy that wouldn't limit her daughter to the roles of caregiver or mother. And so, Mattel just basically released a carbon copy of Bild Lilli in the US, and Ruth named it after her daughter, Barbara Millicent Roberts. Sexy. Bild Lilli's manufacturers, O&M Hauser, desperately tried to sue Mattel once Barbie started flying off the shelves, but in stark contrast to the bumbling, harmless Mattel executives in the Barbie movie, Mattel squashed all lawsuits viciously, bought up the patents for the doll, and Hauser filed bankruptcy in 1983. So long, Lilli, you will live forever in our hearts, and also for thousands of dollars on eBay. Barbie had quickly made herself a staple in the United States toy industry, but as they say, it's lonely at the top, and there was no one for Barbie to bump plastic with during those long, dark, cold nights at the bottom of the toy chest. That is until 1961, when Ruth Handler decided to give Barbie her most fabulous accessory yet. A boyfriend.
So now Mattel brings you Ken, Barbie's boyfriend. with a complete wardrobe of perfectly tailored clothes of unmatched quality.
The new doll was named Kenneth Sean Carson, after her son, and... Hold on, wait, so... She named Barbie after her daughter, and Barbie's boyfriend after her son. Wait, no, that can't be... Okay, wait, hold on. But there was a problem with Ken, specifically his below-the-belt canatomy. Boss babe Ruth, like the dirty dog she was, fought hard to give Ken a bulge, but funnily enough, it was the all-male design and marketing staff that were squeamish about giving Ken a doll dong. While Ruth and Barbie clothes designer Charlotte Johnson vetoed any Ken doll design that didn't come with a, well, Johnson, the male staff were terrified that mothers would disapprove of even the slightest suggestive lump. Mattel was so worried about the feral curiosity of little girls and the connections they might make to their own fathers and brothers that they literally consulted a psychologist who specialized in Freudian psychoanalytic concepts. But the battle for the bulge ended up being completely pointless, because even though a compromise was reached allowing Ken to have a slight bump between the legs, one of the engineers at the Japan manufacturing company thought, I'll just save $1.50 of plastic, and shipped Ken out without his, doll dignity. Ken did eventually regain his plastic pride over the years, but not before Ruth Handler's son was mercilessly bullied for the unendowed doll that shared his name. Little Kenneth would have to be accompanied by an armed guard if he went to school as a kid in 2023. To be named after a doll without a would be a death sentence for a 10th grader these days. The bullying would be lethal. Originally, Ken was sold with flocked hair, but due to the fuzz tending to peel off very easily, leaving Ken with an all too realistic case of male pattern baldness, he had plastic hair for a long time. Over the years, Ken evolved with his girlfriend, changing with the style and beauty standards of each decade. The stereotypical Ken and Barbie were soon joined by hundreds of Barbie doll variants, but not all of Mattel's experiments were successful. As referenced in the film, Mattel has a long history of making hilariously bad decisions, leading to discontinued toys and disgruntled parents. Many of these had screen time in the movie, but some of Mattel's more embarrassing missteps were excluded. One of the worst dolls I think Mattel has ever released was their 1965 Slumber Party Barbie. The doll came with a scale permanently set to 110 pounds and a diet book with simple instructions. Don't eat. After all, it's never too early to teach little girls how to starve themselves and question their self-worth in a society that only values them based on their ability to adhere to a strict set of physical standards. Does baby's first eating disorder also come in hot pink? Growing Up Skipper, released in 1975, was Mattel's next controversial doll. By twisting her arm, Skipper would grow, and so would her chest. I think Mattel had good intentions here. I think they were just trying to normalize the scary process of puberty for young girls, but it weirded parents out, and to be honest, the phrasing on the back of the box, cute little girl to tall, curvy teenager, it's a little icky. The next toy to get Mattel in hot water was the Teen Talks Barbie from 1992.
I can't believe my ears. I can't believe my eyes. Every Teen Talk Barbie is a different surprise.
Mine says, wanna have a pizza party?
Each Barbie's voice box could rattle off 4 of 270 possible unique phrases, but one of those phrases, math is tough,
Math class is tough.
was so controversial it inspired a Simpsons episode.
Don't you have anything relevant to say?
Don't ask me. I'm just a girl.
Objectively speaking, math is tough. A lot of people struggle with it, but in context of Mattel's mission to uplift young girls and the negative stereotype that women are bad at STEM, this was a horrible decision.
Math class is tough.
Educators and academics from across the nation wrote angry letters demanding that the dolls be recalled, and a group of performing artists from New York City called the Barbie Liberation Organization bought Barbies and G.I. Joes, switched their voice boxes, and resold them, leading to the plastic soldiers saying manly phrases like, "Will we ever have enough clothes?" Sir, I'm sorry to interrupt, but someone has been switching the voice boxes of our G.I. Joes with Barbie voice boxes. Oh my god. The fragile masculinity of our tiny boy customers will be irrevocably destroyed. There's just one problem, sir. The kids love them. They're flying off the shelves. Are you G.I. joking right now? I would never. What do I look like, some kind of G.I. jerk? Well, then we better stop G.I. jabbering and G.I. jump on this then. God, some of these are just crazy. So the 1991 rollerblade Barbie shot actual sparks out of her shoes when rolled around. No one in the entire process of designing, manufacturing, and marketing this doll thought for just a single second that this just might be a horrible fire hazard. The 90s was truly a wonderful era where we just handed over implements of destruction to children as birthday presents. Earring Magic Ken, released in 1993, was the gay icon the world desperately needed, but also definitely didn't deserve. Whether or not Mattel execs were actually clueless about the influence of queer fashion in their redesign of Ken to look cooler, gay men bought Earring Magic Ken by the dozen as a moral panic swept the nation over which ear Ken was sporting bling and what appendage the ring charm hanging around his neck was supposed to fit on. The complaints of homophobic parents led to Earring Magic Ken being recalled, but not before he had 6 glorious months to declare gay rights from the toy aisle. In the Barbie movie, pregnant Midge is a bit of a jump scare, and the discomfort of the other characters is pretty accurate to the feelings of consumers when she was first released in 2002. Parents objected to the doll not only because they felt it promoted teen pregnancy, but also because Midge's ring finger was bare, making her a single mom. My absolute favorite recalled doll has to be Sugar Daddy Ken, released in 2009. Yeah, Barbie can go to the moon, but why should she when she can have all the luxuries this earth has to offer for the low price of a predatory man sucking on her toes every other night? Flat feet! This was Mattel's disastrous attempt to appeal to adult collectors, and when they were questioned, they came up with the excuse that this foxy Grandpa Ken's little dog was named Sugar, and therefore the Palm Beach Prowler was Sugar's daddy. I, for one, would love to know how many lines of sugar the Mattel exec who approved this was snorting off his desk. The computer engineering Barbie, released in 2010, was doomed to repeat the failures of Teen Talks Barbie, because the book that came with the doll explains that Barbie just makes the design, while her 2 male friends are gonna turn it into an actual game. Yep, not making this up. This was in the actual book. In the short story, Barbie manages to not only get a virus on her laptop, but also her friends, and just can't seem to figure out how to reboot her computer. Wow, for an aspiring computer engineer, Barbie sure sounds like a dumbass who doesn't know anything about computers. As a former computer engineer that worked in the industry, I can with confidence say that every female engineer is exactly like this. Then Mattel made Hello Barbie in 2015, a doll that recorded your child's voice, uploaded it to the cloud, and processed it with AI to produce lifelike responses. I can't imagine anything that could possibly go wrong with that. Not only did Mattel admit they were sharing data from the doll with third parties, but the doll connected to Wi-Fi and could easily be tricked into connecting to a hotspot. So instead of your 6-year-old talking to Barbie, they could be talking to a sweaty computer science major instead, with questionable questionable intentions and way too much time on their hands. Similar concerns were raised in 2010 over the video girl Barbie because, I don't know, a secret camera installed in an innocuous looking children's toy kind of sounds like the perfect tool for a pet. But despite many catastrophic failures, Barbie has been massively profitable for Mattel, and of all the marketing strategies they've used, a live-action Barbie movie has to be one of their most brilliant. It's a film that will undoubtedly boost Barbie's dropping sales, not only because they've brought a beloved toy to life, but because they've centered Barbie in the middle of a controversial cultural commentary that will keep people talking about the doll for years. Listen, I'm gonna try to make this part short. You know why? 'Cause I'm tired. I'm just really tired of getting on the internet to tell people the same stuff over and over and over again that can be confirmed with Google or basic human empathy. I just want to talk about the history of Mattel and the crazy dolls they've made and just be done. But it is impossible to discuss Barbie and not at least acknowledge the vicious backlash against the feminist message presented by Greta Gerwig's film. In the Barbie movie, Barbie Land is a place where Barbies are doctors and astronauts and presidents, while Kens are just accessories to their careers. This is purposely meant to be an antithesis to the real world. It's not supposed to be positive. It's just taking the real world and reversing the roles of men and women. When stereotypical Barbie portrayed by Margot Robbie and Ken portrayed by Ryan Gosling venture out into the real world, they find that it's actually men who dominate positions of power in society. Ken isn't fully able to grasp the concept of the patriarchy, but he does go back to Barbie Land to try to recreate it. He convinces the Barbies to leave their jobs and dote on the Kens, existing only to serve them beer and to admire them. A true resolution is only reached when the Barbies take back power and start working to make sure every Barbie, Ken, and Alan is equal in Barbie Land. When boiling down the movie to such a simple summary, it's really hard to see how any reasonable person could be upset. Men and women should be equal. The end. Roll credits. Cue Nicki Minaj and Ice Spice. But a saying to keep in mind is, when you're accustomed to privilege, equality feels like oppression. To a gender that has had almost every single major film geared towards them, validating their perspective and minimizing the role of the opposite gender, a single film showcasing the female experience feels like a personal attack. Conservatives are claiming that the Barbie movie is demanding the institution of a matriarchy, that the Barbie movie demonizes all men, and that Barbie is anti-men. Many political commentators are openly mocking the very serious issues the film covers, like the rampant harassment women face at the hands of men.
And a bunch of men just leer at her and say, "Give us a smile, Blondie," which is something that no one under the age of 70 has said to a woman in the recent past. Give us a smile, Blondie? Seriously?
You're so right, Ben. Catcalling is definitely super uncommon. And also, there's definitely not many studies showing the connection between catcalling and escalating forms of harassment that actively endanger the lives of women. These right-wing commentators also pretend to be ignorant of the fact that women are massively underrepresented in positions of power, even though, once again, this is something that's very easy to look up and confirm.
In the real world, men run pretty much everything, which is weird. Who greenlit this piece of shit? I mean, Greta Gerwig is a lady. She's making a good living off of this. Margot Robbie is playing the lead. In fact, the entire cast, aside from basically Ryan Gosling, is women. So it seems like women are doing okay.
Women can't be oppressed because a woman made a movie, and this movie has a woman in it. What more do women want?
So we'll see what the income trajectory of this film is. By the way, it's just going to die in China. The overseas market for this film good luck with the Chinese Communist government.
Wow, this aged horribly, considering that Barbie has been a massive global success, and specifically, Chinese women have started to use the Barbie movie as a litmus test to see if they should break up with their boyfriends. Ah, shucks. Better luck next time, Benny. Not only are men like Ben Shapiro furious that a film would criticize the treatment of women in society, but these men also expect women to be overflowing with gratitude for the little equality that they have.
Let me just digress briefly here in how women actually achieved power in Western civilization. The answer is that they lobbied men and men gave it to them. That is the actual answer as to how women achieved power in Western civilization. Amendment to the Constitution that allowed women to vote was passed solely by men because women couldn't vote. It turns out there are a lot of good-hearted men out there who like women and who want women to be able to live lives that they want. It turns out that many of us are husbands and fathers. Many of us have daughters.
Quick question, Benjamin Botox. Yes, I did notice that migrating lip filler even though you grew a beard to hide it. Who took women's rights away to begin with? Did brave husbands, fathers, and brothers wrangle it from the jaws of crocodiles? It was men. It was men who barred women from land ownership, education, and careers. So what exactly are women supposed to be thankful for? Let's put this in simple terms. Okay, so if I stole your sandwich and I took a bite out of it, and then I threw it on the ground, but then I handed it back to you, would you thank me? The New York Post tweeted a quote from Piers Morgan who said, "If I made a movie that treated women the way Barbie treats men, feminists would want me executed." And I have to assume that Piers Morgan has watched every movie played in front of him with his eyes shut. The treatment of female characters in movies is so notoriously bad that the Bechdel test exists. A test that has just one stipulation: that two women talk to each other just once about anything other than a man. A staggeringly low bar that so few movies meet. This is why I'm getting very frustrated with self-satisfied feminists who are hopping on the internet to tear down Barbie for its surface-level, simplistic feminism. While, yes, any moral stance taken by a multi-billion-dollar corporation should be handled like nuclear waste, the foaming at the mouth outrage against Greta Gerwig's watered-down feminism is proof that we are in, like, the Bronze Age of social equality, if not the Stone Age. What I'm trying to say here is, love the enthusiasm, totally agree, but now is not the time to be persnickety. If we want to see any progress in society's treatment of women, we can't help misogynist, tear down attempts to uplift women, as ham-fisted as those attempts might be. Barbie's feminism may seem hacky to us third-wave feminists with our shaved heads and bull rings, but for many women sitting in theaters across the globe, they are hearing the patriarchy explained to them for the very first time. And for now, that's good enough for me. Anyways, I'm glad to have made such a fun, exciting, and totally not depressing, sparktacular Barbie video for you all. Bye-bye! I'm done.